Wondering how your mindset affects your life? How to bring more energy into your business and life? Millions of people around the world ask these same questions daily. You are in the right place. Learn practices that will help give your life the meaning and success you've been searching for. Welcome to the Charge Podcast, teaching you how to create habits around real goals every day. Practical life advice from those who made it. Here's your host, Gary Wilbers.
Welcome, Chargers. We're glad you're back again for another Charge Podcast. I love bringing you different guests with different viewpoints, and today we've got another one of those guests. But I've got a favor to ask of you before we move forward today. You know we're in over 50 different countries for our podcast, and we're at 49 states. And I'm not even going to tell you the state that I'm not. Yes, I am. Vermont. I need Vermont yet. So I need someone to find me a friend in Vermont to get on the podcast so we have all 50 states in the United States. And then, of course, we'd love you to go out and like and share the podcast, because that's how people find out about the podcast. And Charge Podcast is about you, the listener. How can we make it better each day? And today I've got a guest that I think it's going to be very interesting. We're going to talk about video socials. Now, you'll learn what that is as we get into it. But Vikram Rajan is the co-founder of videosocials.net. He's a community of everyday professionals who hate being on camera. Well, that's not me, but overcome their excuses to get marketing results by video blogging together. And fun and done. Vic has been on dozens of podcasts, has hosted presenters podcast, and presents often at regional bar associations and CPA societies. Vic, it is great to have you on the Charge Podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, Gary. I am looking forward to charging.
Well, that is wonderful. Well, I ask every guest the same question to start out with. It's my mantra. It's called Charge, create habits around real goals every day. What habit or habits has led to success in your life?
You know, it's funny. I'm a very appointment-based person, and I feel like, nothing gets done unless it's in the calendar. And I try to get into other people's calendar for the same reason, that if it's in the calendar, they're more apt to do it. They're more apt to talk to me, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, it's kind of reviewing what the day is going to be like in a very tactical way. Because for me, habits are very much behavior and consistent behavior, and sometimes kind of alpha-based behavior. And then in a larger context is looking at my own goals. And for that, for me, as much as I'm co-founder of Video Socials, I'm also kind of chief cook and bottle washer, and then chief sales professional. So I look at my sales funnel and I want to see kind of who's in there, who am I helping, who's in the process of being helped. So it's a very practical way. So hopefully that helps, and hopefully listeners do the same thing of kind of staying charged in a very practical, tactical way.
Yes, I think that's the key, is really looking at it. And, it's really understanding what's coming up each and every day and understanding that schedule. And I love how you said that, because that's what really Charge is about behavior. It's about being able to do the things consistently to get what you want. Now, you have an interesting topic. Until I saw your information come up and did some research on the website and everything else about video social. So how do you make video blogging kind of that habit? That people, like myself, I don't mind being on camera, but there's a lot of people that don't want to be on camera. So I'm just curious, how do you do that?
Yeah. Well, it's video blogging together, fun and done. We found that, none of this that I'm going to tell you is a shock or a surprise to you, and it may not even be a surprise to your listeners, where video has essentially taken over the internet, and our members and our guests, they get their business through word of mouth referrals. So they know they need to stay top of mind with everyone they know, from past clients, of course, current clients, their referral relationships. They may belong to networking groups, and for those colleagues, they may do speaking and seminars, so those people who attend their things. And if we're out of sight, we're out of mind, and we're out of those referrals. And so nowadays, it's essential to be posting on your social media of choice, be it LinkedIn or Facebook, depending on the practice, maybe Instagram. And all those platforms have gone video-centric. Literally, they've changed their algorithms to prioritize video. And so we started telling our clients 2-3 years ago, hey, go contact these videographers. and get the videos done, spend an afternoon and morning, get a couple of videos done, and then get it onto YouTube. They'll get it onto YouTube for you, and then we'll run with it as a marketing agency. And literally, Gary, like none of our clients did it. They didn't have the time to go to a studio and get that done. They didn't have the budget to get that done. And all of those were kind of facades for really what was happening. And they didn't want to be embarrassed. None of us want to be embarrassed. And Gary, you're proficient now, but if you can think about maybe the very first video you did, probably wasn't as good as you are today. And maybe it was horrible. Maybe not. But for a lot of our members, they're scared that they're going to be horrible. And they're well-seasoned professionals. They've been doing their practice, so long. They're practicing professionals, but they've kind of got it done pat. That they know what they're doing. So it's been a long time since they haven't been good at something. And so we had to figure out a way to get them comfortable and to really just drop the facade of the video camera and just be themselves, just be sincere and genuine. And, they may not be the next Gary Wilbers, they may not be the next Tony Robbins or Simon Sinek, but they're going to be themselves. And we don't necessarily need the most snazzy attorney or the most highly motivated, highly charged CPA. We want someone who knows what they're doing. And competency and sincerity and honesty, integrity, all that needs to come through. And that just comes through in their day-to-day. They're just naturally that way. They're smart. They know what they're talking about. So we start bringing them onto these roundtables on Zoom, in fact. And if you've ever done a Zoom roundtable where you have 6-7 people, it ends up kind of looking like Brady Bunch or Hollywood Squares. And we just have a conversation and we take turns. It's a very organized process. But in that process, they share 2 or 3 minutes, a nugget of knowledge, a substantive soundbite. In the beginning, as a guest, they come on and just introduce themselves as if they were at like a networking group, and they just kind of give a 60-second kind of elevator pitch. But really, our members come with 2 bullet points on a Post-it note, and they just kind of talk about what they do and talk about that subject matter, answering a frequently asked question. And then they get feedback, something to keep doing, something to improve, a vote of confidence of, hey, it's good practice, or yeah, it's ready to get posted. And in that process, as they watch other people and as they give feedback to other people and get feedback, people are clapping for them, people are celebrating their success. It's very nurturing and encouraging. First time they do it, it's going to be awful. It's like ripping off the Band-Aid. Second time they do it, well, now they know what to expect. It's like the second time you jump into the pool. First time, it's awful, it's cold, and it's the shock of it, and you never want to jump into the pool again. A minute later, you're okay. Second time, you're a little bit better. Third times, their charm comes through, and they're just themselves. And now they know that they don't have to constantly stare at the video camera, the black hole of the camera. They can look around and see, and literally by the third time, it's familiar faces. It's somewhat like friends. And then they get to be themselves. And that's really when it becomes comfortable and convenient, and literally it's fun and done.
What a great concept, because there is a large majority, and most of us, even people that like to be on camera, once we see it, we're very critical. We can be very critical with that. And with
hearing yourself sing in the shower.
Yeah, that's right. And when the thing is today you mentioned this, but I want to come back to it because I want to say why it's so critical. You said it. It's all the algorithms and all the pieces out there. They're looking for video. Plus, what people are consuming is videos. So if you have a business and you want to set yourself apart and you want to generate additional leads and additional business, you're going to have to overcome this, because video is the wave of the future, at least what we see in the next. We don't know what's coming next, but we know video is going to be huge. And I think that's so important for people to realize that if you're talking about a product or service and you want people to know about it, you can write it all out and be a great writer, and there's going to be very few people that will read it. But if you put that on video, that can change drastically.
Yeah, it's kind of, think about it, the movie version always makes more money than the book. And, a lot of times people say the book is even better, but still the movie makes more money. And that's very similar to kind of my background is in writing, is in helping people write their video blogs, write their regular blogs, their written blogs. And the reason we had to force people into video was the algorithms have changed, and prioritizing, if they're pushing up video, they're of course pushing down written articles. And so it's sometimes harder to speak in those 2-minute sound bites than it is to just keep on writing and writing or keep on talking and talking. So it's not only presentation skills, it's soundbite skills. And then being good on video is a different skill. But honestly, after 2-3 times, people get the hang of it because they're just being themselves. They just need to kind of hone the skill a little bit better. And as they kind of come into this community, they start creating habits around real results and real goals.
Okay. Well, that's great because I want to make sure we set up why it's so important. You said it, but I wanted to really reinforce that. So now let's talk about what can they benefit from it, because you talk about there's 5 referral multipliers that they can get from one video blog. So now there's a reason to do it.
Yeah. What we found is that, there are those reactive referrals and then there are proactive referrals. The reactive referrals you probably all benefit from. If someone says, hey, do you know, a good accountant? My accountant's really dropping the ball right now. It's like March and I've got my corporate stuff due March 15th and I still haven't heard from him. Or he literally replied to my email, but it took him 3 days and it was just ridiculous. And, maybe I'm not going to make a change right now because it's, it's down to the wire. So I don't want, or maybe I need to make a change right now for April because, this is how he is for the corporate stuff. And maybe he just got too busy for me, or maybe I'm too small for him, or he doesn't appreciate me anymore. Do you know anyone who does ? And those are the reactive referrals. And those come, and those are great, right? Because they're primed and ready. But it's a proactive referral where it's hey, you might want to consider this CPA, this accountant, maybe who you're working with is pretty good, but you got to check out this video of what he's talking about because maybe your accountant's not bringing this up. You want to check out, this is a big aha moment for me. Maybe it is for you. And they may say that in person, or they may just literally click the share button and do that in a nanosecond. And that proactive referral is tremendous. So it's how can we activate our raving fans, our referral relationships, people who like us, maybe do business with us, maybe don't do business with us right away because their CPA, their attorney is like their brother-in-law and their uncle. They're never going to change that, but they will recommend you. And what's cool is that cascading effect, that referral multipliers, as I call it, meaning when you record one video, you don't even have to use the video. First of all, you use the video, that itself is one. That's tremendous, and you've won the algorithm, right, as we talked about. But now you have the audio, and so you could even create micro podcasts and literally getting into systems like iTunes and Apple Podcasts and Stitcher, et cetera. You can do micro podcasts, not even use the video. So that's the second thing. And if you're not really even ready for that, you're able to take the audio and transcribe it and get it into a written article. And you were saying, Gary, fewer people will read the article, well, different people will read the article. Because not everyone wants to consume video. Skimming a video is awful. If you've ever, fast forwarded and rewound, even things like Hulu and Netflix, YouTube, it's an awful experience. It buffers, you're out of context, and you have no idea what you're doing. And it's what? Maybe I don't have the time for even 2-3 minutes. Let me just get the gist of 10 seconds. And you could do that a lot easier with written articles. You can quote and copy and share a written article a lot easier than even video clips. With YouTube, you can get to the 1 minute and 10 seconds in, but not a lot of people know how to do that. So the written article has its advantages, its pros and cons. Maybe not the social media algorithms, but it has got other word of mouth advantages. So that's the third aspect. Then you're able to copy and paste that into social media posts. That's the fourth area. Then you're able to turn all of this stuff into an email newsletter, turn your video into an animated GIF, and get the moving image that is really awesome by email. You put the word video in an email subject line, and your open rates and your click-through rates skyrocket. So what's cool is that you're giving people stuff to share with others, and you're multiplying the referral mechanism of people sharing you with others, even if they don't know someone who actively needs you, because sometimes someone's not raising their hand asking for you because it's somewhat awkward. I don't know if I'm asking everyone if I need a bankruptcy lawyer or a matrimonial attorney for divorce, or things that are somewhat taboo and awkward to ask people about, especially on social media. I don't know if I'm putting my stuff out there like that. But if someone shares you, it's hey, I'm not using him right now because my marriage is good, but you got to check this out, that if anyone out there is, having some issues, you might want to check out your options. And people do that left and right. And our members love sharing each other left and right, because every time I share someone else, if I share you, Gary, when I share you, it multiplies your outreach to my whole audience. So that's really cool. But I also come top of mind to my referral relationships. click of a button, I'm sharing someone else's video. LinkedIn is loving me. Facebook is loving me because not only am I sharing video, I'm sharing someone else's video, and that social fabric, the social network is at play. So I get rewarded more than even you do when you post your own video, which is kind of cool. It's the golden rule. The more you share others, the more others will share you. And that's another referral multiplier. And it's kind of what our community does really out of friendship, because they get to know each other. We're not an engagement pod. We don't track that. We don't make it mandatory, obligatory that you got to share on everyone. People fall into the friendships just by nature of seeing each other on a week-to-week basis. And so from that aspect, it's tremendous what one video, especially in a video blogging community, can multiply referrals.
Yeah, and it's no different than a relationship. People want to know, like, and trust them. And
know,
by
like,
video,
and trust through repetition, right? Breeds familiarity. And that's what branding and personal branding is all about. Yeah, absolutely.
And we really got to think about this personal branding, because things are changing. And if we're not changing with it, and we have some people that's sitting there in the audience and, they're listening to this, but they're not getting the reach that they used to get. And this is a way to be able to get that reach, to be able to look differently at yourself, to be able to create something that you can share, because people want to know what you have to say. And you may be one of those things, well, I have nothing to share. You have something inside you that's available. It could be what you do over the weekend. Yeah.
I don't know if this is the right time to say, but your viewers, your listeners can go to blogbrainstormer.com. It's a resource that literally I use with our members to brainstorm topics. Members do it with each other to come up with topics. You don't have to put in your email address. There's no price to it, either by email address or money. Go there, download it. On top is a downloaded version. Just use it. Give me credit, don't steal it, but use it. Share it. If you've got a business partner, you've got staff, you've got networking colleagues, buddies. Do it with other people. It's a lot more fun to brainstorm together, or come on to Video Socials. Of course, we'll brainstorm with you, and use it as a resource. I don't ask anything other than, hey, you might know someone who wants to check out what we're doing.
Yeah. And I think that really leads us in the next question that I wanted to ask you was about topics, because some people are stuck there on topics.
Yeah.
What could I blog about if I blog? So how could I create some topics that come top of mind to me?
Obviously, blogbrainstormer.com. Very often it's a frequently asked questions. It's the stuff that we're so rehearsed because we hear the questions all the time. And sometimes we're conscious of them. And sometimes we need to go through an exercise of like, all right, in the next week, write down the questions that people ask you. And you'll start to see, you don't have to write it ever again. Once someone just check it off again, and you'll start to see, all right, this question was asked 3 times this week, or a version of this question was asked on 3 check marks. And literally within a week, it's almost like time tracking, but it's question tracking. And you'll find within a week, you've got dozens of topics because the light bulb will come on. It's like, oh yeah. And then it'll become the peculiar questions, the rarely asked questions, kind of the opposite of FAQ. It's the stuff that people don't ever ask, but like this one guy randomly asked. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Thank you for asking, because I don't really get an opportunity to talk about that. And it's like, oh, maybe I should blog about that, because it's usually those are very interesting because you're the only one who's going to talk about it. So it's a peculiar topic. It's not going to help everyone. But nevertheless, they may be questions that people ought to be asking, but aren't asking. We don't know what we don't know. And so when someone asks that question or you answer it proactively, they're like, never thought about that. And you now stand out. Because sometimes the frequently asked questions don't really help you stand out too much because a lot of other people are talking about that. However, do it, because if you don't do it, they're getting those questions answered by someone else. So you kind of obligated to go through them. It'll be somewhat boring for you because you're kind of sick and tired of answering it. But when the Rolling Stones still go on tour now for like 5 decades, they're still playing their greatest hits, and they may be bored, but you know what? They made a couple of bucks off those boring songs. So they got to keep it up. They got to find the energy to kind of play it like they've never played before. You got to answer those frequently asked questions like you've never played before, because those are your greatest hits.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you said that, because you're really framing something up that I've been thinking about doing, and I want to do more video on mine. And it's really saying why I have to do it. And now it's given me some real thoughts of how do I get some of that content to be able to think about, because I talk a lot about positivity. And, a simple one I thought about when you were saying that, FAQ, people say, how do you stay so positive? Well, right there becomes a topic that I can answer in a 2-minute time frame to be able to share that's available. So that really does help kind of if nothing else, I feel like I'm getting value, Vic, but I know I'm not the only one of the chargers that's getting there. So I appreciate you sharing with us. Now, the other kind of thing that we've got to take out is a lot of people think you got to have a special camera, you got to have special lights, everything's got to be perfect. And I'll start when it's perfect, Vic. That's when I'll start blogging and video blogging and stuff. And of course, that day's never going to come. So what would you tell about someone that thinks they have to have the lights, camera, and everything that goes with it?
Yeah, and of that, action is probably the most important part of lights, camera, action. Literally, people can email me and I can deluge them with what our members do in terms of lights, because lighting can be troublesome. The best, and you can try, and I'm not a professional videographer, so I don't know professional lights, but I can show you what our members do and the real results. However, if you're able to look out a window and have the sun shine on you, let the sun shine, that's the best. You get hopefully diffused lighting, like a cloudy day. It's cloudy here in New York right now. It's perfect lighting. Like photographers, videographers, they love that diffused lighting, right? They literally will create artificial diffused lighting for that reason. But if you're able to use natural light, that's the best. So you don't want a window in back of you, of course, right? That's a silhouette effect. But you look out a window and you get to have good scenery, hopefully, and you get the natural light. So that's the best. In terms of camera, the easiest are the phones that we have. Right now, the HD quality phones we have on our phones and on our laptops or iPad and Surfaces, these are the cameras that videographers grew up dreaming about. Like, one day I'm going to get that megapixel camera. And now, of course, we have like 12 megapixel cameras in our pockets, right? So that's the easiest. Now, for a lot of our members, we say shy away from using the camera because you're going to get that very jittery look. Invest in like a gyroscopic stand. It's a lot of now you're adding a lot of encumbrance. So we tend to tell our members, use the laptop. Because now you have a built-in stand. You're going to be framed automatically. It tends to be really good high resolution. Typically, the camera on selfie mode is not as good as the one on the back, right? So without getting too technical about it, we like our members on a laptop. We now know they're focused. They're not looking at a million screens. Here it is. Also, Zoom happens to look a lot better on a larger screen like this than on a phone, especially if you're doing more than one person, right? So for all those reasons, we say use your laptop. If it's younger than 4 years, you've got a great HD camera built in. So you don't really need, now if you're not happy with the camera or there's something going on funky with it, a lot of our members use a couple of different Logitech cameras. I can share models by email. I can send links and I get nothing for it except that you get a great video out of it. And so those are really easy. But a lights camera is ultimately the action gets started. Your first couple of videos you might be, kind of nervous about. You may not even post it. You got to get through the practice phase. First time you sit at a piano, first time you pick up the violin, no one wants to hear you. But after a little bit of practice, this is a lot easier than learning how to play a guitar. After the third time, you're going to be great. So use the stuff that you've got lying around it. It's kind of like the, you can do it yourself workout. You don't need a lot of fancy equipment to get started.
Yeah, and I think that's the key is telling everyone is really it's the third one, like you said, take action, then worry about if you want to continue to improve the process and as you're getting into it. But the thing is, you can get a lot of practice runs in. You can really see how are you going to use to put this out on social media, and then you can really kind of invest in others. And if your first ones that's a great topic that you can talk about. Here's where I started. And here's where I'm at now. And then within a short amount of time, that's the cool part about this is you can really change that of how you're presenting on video in a short amount of time just by doing it.
Yeah, because the goal is not to turn any of our members, to turn you, the listener, into a professional video blogger. We're not looking to make you the next YouTube star. And nothing wrong with that because some of these YouTube stars are making millions of dollars. So that's cool if you want to be the next YouTube star. But for our members, they're doing it as a means to an end. They're doing to really have an emotional connection, to really relate to potential clients and really convey a nugget of knowledge, something that they can take action on. And it may be, hey, call me because I need to understand your scenario a bit better, so don't take this as legal advice. But nevertheless, our members are the videos itself is really kind of a walking, talking proxy for who they are to scale and to duplicate who they are, because we can't be in two places at once, but with video we can be. So with that in mind, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be, I hate to say good enough. You'll get to the point of great, but only by going through the good enough phase.
Yeah, I think that's so important because the same thing I learned when I was started podcasting. I thought everything had to be perfect and, I had to have this script here. And now I'll be honest, I've got a few things in front of me. So I know kind of where I want to go, the direction I want to go, but it can change in a moment's notice of, okay, he made a great point. I'm going to go there. And we've done this already in this podcast. I don't have each and every little piece. Then it feels like it's scriptured or it's structured, and then it's boring and nobody listens. Instead, they want to know that it's real. It's live.
And I've got a video called How to Use a Script. And it really is, don't use a script. Yeah. But I don't want to say that to people. If people want to use a script, I get it. I get why people want that crutch. So I say, write it out. Sure, go ahead, write it out. First of all, it's a great written blog now, so go ahead, write it out. But set it aside and summarize it in 2 or 3 bullet points. And put those 2 or 3 bullet points next to the webcam on a Post-it note. And now when you're referencing your notes, you're able to make eye contact. And now you don't feel beholden to the script. But first of all, no one wants to see you read. That's awful. Second, it takes a lot of craft to memorize a script and then perform it really well. I mean, that's why actors actually get paid a lot of money. It's like, why do I make millions of dollars? Well, it's actually tough to do. So it's tough to act. And unless you've got that training, it's going to come off awful. So, and then you miss a word, you miss a sentence, you misplace yourself. And now you're like fumbling over this. And it's like, why are you fumbling? Like, no one even knew you forgot a sentence. No one cares. That wasn't the purpose. The purpose is to convey your relevance and your competency, and that you can actually have a conversation with this person. Like, hey, I get this person gets me. I don't necessarily know everything that he's talking about, but I'm not a lawyer. But he is, and he knows what he's talking about. She is. I get what she's talking about. I see that she cares. I'm going to relate to her. She's going to be able to help me. And that's the purpose of the video. That's what we can do with video that we can't do with text. It's the tone, it's the personal connection. Focus on that way more than the actual substance.
Yeah. Wow. Some great information, Vic. And I mean, time goes so fast because I've been wrapped up in the conversation. Right. But before we go to the recharge round, I really got one more question for you, and then we'll go into the recharge round. How can they then move? You talked, I think, just a little bit about this, but how can I move from getting my video now, being able to take that video, to being able to get it shared and really trying to work that proactive referral so I get more looks, and the more it gets shared, the better it is, as you told us from the very get-go?
Do you mean literally how to post it or how to get people sharing it?
How to get people to sharing it.
Yeah. So first of all, you got to post it, right? So that's the first thing. And part one, with what we do at these roundtables are really fun. Part two, we have a brander automation app that's push button, get it out there. It adds all the disclaimers that you're required if you're a lawyer, an accountant, all that's there. Your point is then how to get other people to share it. So there's 2 aspects, 2 shortcuts. In blogbrainstormer.com, there's a 3rd section called cross-promotion topics. The more you're able to reference other people in your topics and in your videos, the better. When you reference someone else, obviously in good light and in good context, now you're able to ping them when you share that video. And when you involve other people in your marketing, first of all, it's less pressure on you because you're quoting other people, but even more so, they're excited, they're happy, they're honored that you mentioned them in your video in any kind of a blog context. And now they're more apt, you don't even have to ask them, they'll share it automatically because they themselves are excited that you included them. Yes, it's ideal for you to ask permission, but if you're doing it in the right context and you have some type of prior relationship, or even if you don't have a prior relationship, it's a great foot in the door. It's a great way of breaking the ice with someone and say, hey, by the way, I just mentioned your book in my latest video. Unless, they're too highfalutin for you, they're going to be really appreciative of what you did. And hopefully they'll even share your video depending on the nature of the relationship that you have. That's number one. And then number 2, the more you share others, the more others will share you. It goes back to that golden rule. So from that aspect, it's relatively simple to develop those relationships. People want to be shared. People want to be mentioned. And the more you mention others, people are going to share you. So it's easy shortcuts.
Well, let's share again. You've given it a couple times, but I think it's so important because this is a free, easy, free to weapon, no opt-in, no bribery from it. Say that again, blogbrainstormer.com, and we'll have it in show notes. go there, and Vic has lots of great information that's for you available there that's available. Now, give them, if they're interested in your services and what you do, Vic, give them that website too and how they can reach out to you.
Yeah, I want everyone, give it a try and have fun with it. When you come on as a guest, you don't have to prepare. You'll get to introduce yourself. Whether or not you want it recorded, that's up to you. I say, hey, you may as well dip your toe in the water and get it recorded. And maybe it's a video that you want to post and you're a guest, you feel free to post it. We'll give you a link to the video. So you're going to watch our members present their video blogs and exchange marketing feedback, and you're going to be participating in a video roundtable. It'll feel like a networking group. It'll feel like a Toastmasters, but it'll be on Zoom, so no travel. So go to videosocials.net, and in the upper right-hand corner, it says be a guest presenter and find time. You could write on videosocials.net. In the bottom right-hand corner will be a chat box. It's a chat box, not a chat bot. It is me. It goes right to my cell phone. So I try to answer it in real time, or I'll get back to you by email. But hopefully, if I'm available, I'll chat with you. And that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. And, maybe in 2022, when I'm too busy, I'll have other people manning that. But right now, for the foreseeable future, I want to have that direct connection with our members and come meet our members and really see how they're doing, especially if you're an attorney, an accountant, or some type of a consultant. You'll fit right in.
Okay, great. No, we'll have that available to you. That'll be all on show notes. So know that's available to you, and we will have that out there. Vic, let's jump into the recharge round. I ask every guest these same 6 questions, and we're going to kind of do them rapid fire. The first one is,
Sure.
How do you believe your mindset affects your daily living?
I think it's tremendous. Mindset equals energy, and it's how exciting we are. So with the right mindset, with the right energy, we can get it done. With the mindset of it already knowing that things are not going to go that way, well, you're coloring yourself. There's no reason for that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that everything's rosy. We don't have to fool ourselves and be delusional. But with the right mindset, you can go in and really be powerful.
Excellent. What do you do on the days that your energy is a little bit off and you got to generate that energy? It's easy because we like being on podcast and sharing information, but let's say one of them days that energy is a little bit low. What do you do to pick it up?
Yeah. I think about why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's like that big picture of like, look, I'm on the right track. It's video socials isn't for everyone. Not everyone who comes as a guest joins. That's fine. I'll ask for their referral. I think everyone has a good time, but it happens like that. All right, these guys, they didn't see it for themselves. Not yet. Maybe in a couple of months. Not for now. For me, I have to kind of remind myself of the bigger picture, remind myself why we're doing this thing, that it's not just to sign up members, for the sake of signing up members. Like, what does that mean? How are we impacting each member? How are they benefiting really aside from the sales pitch? How are they really benefiting? Like, do I really believe in the Kool-Aid that I'm selling? Am I really drinking that? For me, I am, right? So I think for all of us, I think we should be. And for that, it's reminding ourselves, what are they really benefiting from? At the end of every video socials, we actually ask our members, hey, is there one thing that you could share that you enjoyed about today's session? For me, it's easy. I kind of watch those enjoy clips, as I call them, those closing statements, and they recharge me because members are really raving fans.
Great. How about the number one connection that's made the biggest impact on your life or relationship?
It's tremendous. The biggest impact on my life has to be the connection with my dad. My dad left the phone company about 20 years ago and became a management consultant when they had a merger. And on a day-to-day basis, I started basically being his apprentice and kind of going business meeting to business meeting with him. And I didn't go to business school. I went to school for politics and political science and organizing, and running for office and political campaigns is marketing, so fair enough. But from a business management standpoint, I learned a lot from him. So that gave me the biggest impact of seeing my business as an entity. And then you have like principles like E-Myth and Michael Gerber of running your company as a system and all those kind of things I learned from my dad. So from that aspect, he's made the greatest impact professionally, of course, personally, but professionally as a business, he's been that ability to be that mentor of learning of how to run a company and looking at it differently.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And one thing I will tell the audience is we're on Zoom and I can see Vic, and I can tell you when he was even getting ready to start the answer, I could see the change and how much that impact is. So that's some of the things. Let's bring it back to video. that I could see where all of you are listening to it. You can't see that and understand that, but I saw that on the video. So there's another reason to do video socials and put it out on social media. How about an advice some sort of advice that has influenced you the most in your life?
What would happen to your business if you weren't around to run it? Xing yourself out of that equation. I always want to make sure that my business isn't dependent on any one person, especially me. I like to surround myself with people smarter than me, like my staff, like my business partner. And so I think a lot about leverage, and I think a lot about that of what would happen. And I don't want to create a job. I want to create a business. And it's okay. There are advantages to being solo and freelance, et cetera. But even there, how can you create, even as a solo business, there are ways to create systems and structures where even if, God forbid something happens, or in a good way, you will go on vacation, that your clients aren't left hanging in the wind, that there are systems and structures in place, that you're creating an entity and raising a business more than just creating a job. Because I think sometimes being in your own business and being self-employed, it's like even worse than having a job. You never get time off for good behavior, and instead of one boss, you have like 100 bosses of clients all knocking on your door, and they don't want to give you a raise. So, and you can't compel them. So from that aspect, yeah, that would be like the number one thing. Create a business that has a life of its own.
Wow, excellent advice. How about your favorite book? And share with us why you love it.
So my latest book that I like the most, it's hard to say. So favorite book, I thought about this, and I thought about it off the air, and I couldn't remember the author, but I'll share one of my latest favorite books. It's by one of my close colleagues, Ramon Ray, and the name of the book is Celebrity CEO. It's not the most well-known book in the world, but it should be. And he talks a lot about very practical ways of elevating your personal brand and kind of being that celebrity CEO in your micro world, that it's not necessarily being on the TED stage or even a TEDx stage, but really being at your stage as a celebrity CEO and developing this community of raving fans. And that's a book that I really love. So pick it up, Celebrity CEO by Ramon Ray.
Okay. We'll have it in show notes for you. So check that out. And that's one I have not heard about. So I'm going to check it out myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to connect you to.
Great. How about what, in one sentence, the legacy you want to leave the world?
So my father created a company called Coco Grove. And some people thought of it as company grow, but it's actually cooperate and grow. And for me, I translate it as now community and grow. And video socials now is kind of an evolution of my companies, is very much a community. And the legacy that I would love, and I still like to think that I've got a couple of more decades, but would be kind of creating a community of people. The fact that they're business owners, entrepreneurs, professionals is almost secondary. It's a community of people helping each other. And that, there are lots of awesome communities out there of professionals and businesses. And I want to create another one that kind of is centered around video, because I feel like, for the next foreseeable future, as you said, it's going to be video, and then it may be like augmented reality and all that stuff, but it's coming soon. And for me, like, how can I think of a community that is comfortable helping each other remotely, regardless of where they are on the globe? And that's kind of the legacy I would like this community to live on beyond even me growing it actively.
Well, you've helped our audience now to be able to really take a look at things and be able to see things from a different point of view and how important video is. So you've started with this community of chargers, and I know you do it with other communities and you go on other podcasts, and I know you're kind of working towards that legacy. So it's great to see what you're doing in each one of those areas. Vic, before we wrap up here, give them one more time the websites that they can check out, and I'll also have them in show notes for them.
Blogbrainstormer.com. Go with a print-friendly version. That's my favorite version, though. It's actually fun to kind of swipe through the different topics randomly. And then videosocials.net. Come as my guest and meet our members and promote yourself.
Excellent. Well, Vic, we can't thank you enough for being on the Charge Podcast, sharing your expertise and your information. And I hope you really learned something from this, that really, Chargers, what are you doing to get yourself to know, like, and trust the people that you're doing business with? And that's through video. And that's what Vic was sharing with us, because I know I've got a lot of small business owners on this podcast. And the thing is, you think marketing's too expensive. you can do this pretty darn inexpensive and get yourself set up. Yes, you're going to be uncomfortable at first, but you got to be uncomfortable to be able to get comfortable. And if you make that decision, you can make a big difference in your business. He's seen it with attorneys, he's seen it with accountants, and on through the different type of people that are able to really share a message and then be able to really generate a community of people that want to do business with them. So I hope you check it out. Check out his websites. We'll have that all in chargepodcast.com. I can't thank Vic enough for being on our podcast. Chargers, don't worry. Next week, we're going to come back with another great guest for you. But remember, like and share this podcast and let other people know about it. That's how we continue to grow our podcast. I look forward to seeing you next week. Make it a great day.
This podcast is ended, but your life doesn't just stop. To continue your inspiring journey, head over to chargepodcast.com and access all the tools and resources mentioned on today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, consider sharing with somebody who may also benefit from the advice provided. That's chargepodcast.com. Until next time, charge in business and life.